SavageOrlandoMagic.com.
If you had your first series of town halls that you'll have this month, how did you feel that went the other day? Just how nice was it to be a part of that?
Oh, I thought it was great. And Isu is a great addition to our franchise. He's super intelligent. He already had a great working relationship and friendship with Linda. Uh, and I think that he has ideas and thoughts on what types of initiatives we can do as an organization, and ideas on how we can continue to work in Orlando. So I thought this is a great concept, and I thought for the first one it went well.
Go ahead, Dan.
Cliff, you'll start the first of one of these unique back-to-back, at the same venue tonight. What have been your takeaways from those so far, and what have been some of the challenges in participating in some of those?
Yeah, I mean, it's the one thing I will say from a coaching standpoint that's easier, and especially playing this schedule, is it does help in that the second night of back-to-backs, particularly against a team you haven't played or played for a while, it's a bear, to get ready for. You play the game. Obviously, you have to you want to watch your game that you just played, and then you need to watch 2 or 3 games on the other team before you can meet for a game plan. So I will say that the back-to-back part, playing the same team, it's the wear and tear and the time to prepare, that is in this condensed schedule is a good thing. I also think though that it's hard to win 2. I think it's difficult to win twice against the same team for whatever reason. And if you watch it, for the most part, there's a lot of splits in these from what I see.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Steve, have you heard any updates or spoken with MCW to see how he's coming along after his setback?
Yeah, I think today he felt better. He's still not able, he had gotten to the point where he was participating in the non-contact parts of practice. He couldn't do anything this morning in the shoot around, but he is feeling better.
And a follow-up, unrelated, if you don't mind, any sense of how Aaron Gordon is dealing with this disappointment of not being able to play for perhaps several weeks?
Yeah, I mean, he's down, and it was really a significant sprain. It's obviously difficult for him, difficult for us. But as he knows, and he's been through it before, he just has to attack the rehab the way he does most aspects of his game and get back as quickly as possible.
Philip Russman-Reich, Orlando Magic Daily.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, you had a plan for how you wanted to bring Cole along and kind of the responsibilities you wanted him to have. A lot of that probably thrown out the window with the injury circumstances. But how do you still kind of keep him in that development plan, or do you just kind of are you putting more on him or trusting him a little bit more now that the injuries have kind of hit this team?
Yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I think that the trick is, in my opinion, is you just have to be realistic about, let's put it this way. The plan changes from the standpoint that he gets to learn a lot more by being on the floor now. Look, being matched up with Lowry and Van Vliet, there's nothing that you can do in a practice for a younger point guard to have that type of experience. So I think that's invaluable. The thing I like about him is he does learn from playing against the great players, and he wants the challenge and he likes it. So I think from that standpoint is terrific. There's just a lot of aspects of this. One, to be honest with you, is just the physical toll. He's a younger guy. Again, we didn't have a long buildup before training camp, and we had a short training camp. And he's one of the guys that, we're watching carefully just because he's playing so many minutes. And obviously they're challenging minutes because he's playing against starters. So I love his attitude. We watched film yesterday, he and Lionel Chalmers and I, and he learns. He's bright. Um, he understands there's a lot of challenges with the NBA game, and I think he's got a great approach.
Roy Perry, Orlando Sentinel.
Steve, just to kind of follow up on what Dan had asked earlier, obviously you've taken on an instrumental role in being involved in the community in terms of, pushing for equality, voting, rights and all that. How proud are you to be part of an organization that also stands for the same things that you do, moving forward and kind of on a larger scale with all the awareness that's been, drum up lately about Black history, what should people take from this particular Black History Month?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I think that people will see once we get past the pandemic of how committed the Magic are. You know, we have a task force here within our organization with, everybody from Alex and Jeff to, a large percentage of people that work here and want to get out in the community and do things to, help make change, positive change. And because of the pandemic, they just can't get out there. Once we get past that, I think people will see, and then we can be even more active. In terms of, for me personally, and I think with the relationships that we are gaining here within the Orlando area, with Linda being a big part of it, Isu will be a big part of it, is I think we can be a part of change. Roy, what I'm hopeful of, and I know people in the organization feel the same way. This is about a lot of different things, but it's not just a bunch of photo ops. We want to be part of change. Orlando is like any other part of our country. Racism is a problem. We have systemic racism problems, and it starts with policies and laws. And there's so many parts of that. There's things that you do just to keep the conversation going, the awareness going. There's things that you do to educate yourself, educate people around you, have conversations. But at the end of the day, real change is going to come with people in power and people that have money, local politicians, making those changes. And, we have developed relationships here with, guys like Desmond Meade and Dr. Jeremy Levitt, Dr. Randy Nelson, Miles Mulrain. We've also working with politicians. I've had a couple of really in-depth conversations in the last 2 weeks with Senator Bracy about some education initiatives. Monique Worrell, I have a relationship with through Desmond. She's spoken with the team. We've met with both mayors. We met with Chief Furlong, with Sheriff Mina. And you have to have those relationships so you can educate yourself on how we can help and how the players can use the platform to make change. But again, the pandemic is a factor in holding that back. The last piece I would say about this is, and I think I'm right on this, Black history for me, as I've tried to educate myself, and Brian Stevenson has helped all the coaches in our league. He sends us literature, scary stuff, that, I just was never even aware of. And, one of the things to me is Black history should be taught. And I know this is, it's been talked about on a national level and most state levels, that Black history should be taught in every school, not just the inner city schools, the suburban schools. And I believe in Florida, that's supposed to happen. And it just doesn't happen in all schools. So, where I went to school, I think it's like, it's like most places. So, you spend a day on, like the greatness of Harriet Tubman, for instance. Okay. But it ends there. You read a book, or, you have a quiz and then you move on. Right. And it shouldn't be like that. We all need to be more educated about the challenges that Black people and minority people have faced in our country. And it's important. And that's one of the things that I've spoken with Senator Bracy about. So as much as Black history for me, celebration, study, education, I keep getting back in my mind of how we can all get involved and making it mandatory that that Black history is taught in every school in the state of Florida.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, on the basketball front, obviously Frank Mason will make his Magic debut. With just one practice and a shoot around session, how do you feel he's coming along and prepared for the time he'll see tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's got the right attitude. You can tell that he's been around. He understands how this works. He's diligent. He's trying to get up to speed. We'll have a limited menu, obviously, for him to deal with when he's on the floor. But I've talked to people who have coached him, and he's a tough-minded guy. And he's a pro player. He's younger. He played, I believe, 52 games 2 years ago in Sacramento. So he has some NBA experience. And to this point, he's done everything he could do to prepare himself to play well tonight.
Aaron Goldstone, Orlando Pinstripe Post.
Thank you. Coach, focusing on the Bulls, Markkanen is playing at a really high level right now, scoring and shooting the basketball. How does your team plan to attack him, especially with AG out? And what are some of the things that he presents that are going to be a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with what everybody knows is his range shooting, right? So he's, I think, what is he, like 40.3% at close to 8 attempts a game, right? And but he's also he's a very clever player. So he has a flare game. That's where he gets a lot of his threes, but he also has a roll game. And if you switch smaller players onto him, he's good at sealing, rolling, and getting to the basket. He knows how to create action for his teammates to get them space, and then he's good at getting to open areas. So a lot of it is pick and roll based, where we went over a lot of things today, because there's going to be a point in this game. It's obviously Levine, the Markkanen pick and rolls, but there's going to come a time tonight, which is not easy, where it's going to be Levine, Markkanen in a high pick and roll. And you have to be able to deal with it. And that'll be a big part of these two games.
Christos Saltis, Sport DNA.
Hello, Coach. What did you see from the Bulls on their last game versus the Knicks? And what do you expect to see from your players tonight?
Well, to be honest, I'll continue on the Levine, Markkanen pick and roll combination, because, they got down early in that game. They had just beaten the Knicks the game before. And, like a lot of NBA teams, Billy Donovan's a terrific coach, and they used the combination of Levine with the ball with the Markkanen screen in the second and third quarters and had great success with it. And, the Knicks were forced to do different things. But again, they're two terrific offensive players, and that's what makes a good pick and roll. People talk about, what's good pick and roll basketball, a guy that can really handle the ball and attack or shoot threes, and then a guy that has a roll game and a flare game, and that's what they have. So again, it'll be a big part of what we have to do tonight.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, thank you, everybody.